10,000 years will give you such a crick in the neck.
Cinematic Fantastic.
Klaatu, Barada, Nikto.
I'll show you who I am and what I am.
Bitten by a werewolf and lives, becomes a werewolf himself.
Open the pod bay doors, Hal.
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
It's alive! It's alive! It's alive!
Hello and welcome to the Cinematic Fantastic Podcast. I'm your host, Jason Weatherford.
And your other host, William Weatherford.
Get ready for opinions, dad jokes,
and bad jokes
as we watch and review sci-fi and fantasy films from the classics of yesteryear to the new favorites of today.
Into the sandless times of immense sand. So many particles of sand. It's coarse and rough and it gets everywhere.
I thought...
we venture on to a new episode of Cinematic Fantastic.
Episode 34.
We are doing The Thief of Bagdad. And honestly, this movie seems like it would be somebody's, like, family... Like, I feel like this would be, like, on VHS. Someone would see this in their childhood and go, oh, this is a childhood experience. Because this movie, man, does it feel sort of like that.
And you know what? Not only a lot of kids would probably feel that way, but a lot of famous directors. Francis Ford Coppola, this is one of his favorites. And this is on one of Roger Ebert's, top films.
A favorite of a lot of people.
Oh, yeah.
And this is indeed comparable to The Adventures of Robin Hood we did earlier, and also got an Oscar for special effects. And I do believe that there were quite so many that I will have to say deserves a special effects Oscar.
Well, yeah, but Wizard of Oz, it's been compared to Wizard of Oz as well because of the time frame in which it came out and just the fantasy of it all, the special effects and the color.
But it is unrelated in that fact.
Yes, right.
So today, a lovely guest star, Leia, returns from previously the first episode she was on was the Phantom of the Opera episode, and now she has come here for an amazing whimsical journey on this podcast once more. Say hello, Leia, to the world.
I have awakened from my slumber for
Hello.
1,000 years, or however long it's been.
1,000 years has been such a crick in the neck.
Yes.
I feel that. My neck has been in immense pain.
I'm sorry.
Not immense pain, just mild pain. But when you're overdramatic, it's immense.
And when you're thirsty.
Yes.
Yes.
True, definitely.
Drink water, kids.
Yes, we're glad to have you back, Leia. We really did enjoy doing this with you for Phantom of the Opera in season 1, which that was a year ago.
I've been sleeping for a year.
Yeah, you've been sleeping in a little magical bottle, little gourd. It's okay. Not to.
You spawned from our existence.
Yes, well,
you
you're
are
my
just
spawn,
figments of our imagination.
Thank you.
And you yourself have a great imagination. So what does that make? The imagination inside of an imagination that.
It's Inception. It's a dream within a dream. Isn't that what we all are? Dream within a dream in a simulation. No.
I'm so confused. I just woke up.
Speaking of fantastical simulation, this movie. You would think that it had one director. It had quite a few, and honestly, I think it's amazing that this movie even got made. Now, again, this came out in 1940, but what was happening in Europe prior to this was the advent of World War II.
Yes, and in fact, I can recap that. I just need to pull up some of the notes I made because taking history class, you often make many notes. Says, I remember saying before, wondering if it was, the main players, were actually Germany and Italy, on the bad guys' side. I said Poland before, but it was Italy. I was mistaken.
Right.
1939, recap. Spain, has a civil war. Germany, Italy, and the USSR help on that. And it was really the dress rehearsal in speaking for World War II, because, there was a lot of people at play. Then the Nazis take over Prague, which is in
Czechoslovakia.
And that would indeed,
Gesundheit.
sometime around this, be Yes, that would sometime around this be split apart into Slovakia and the Czech
Yes.
Republic. Probably after the World War, due to, it makes more sense because people are like, independence after, all of the conquering. So 1940, we're in there now, which is after a 7-month break. In April, Germany conquered Denmark and Norway, part of the cluster called Scandinavia. And in June, Germany conquered France.
Okay, so they're getting closer and closer to Britain.
There was a lot of turmoil.
This is a British. Ultimately, this is a British and American co-production. It started out British, though.
They would invade Britain about this time. Maybe it was in 1941, but they failed with that.
Yeah, it was the Blitz happened in 1940. So what they had to do is stop production altogether, and production was a messy thing in the first place. But they had to stop the production, and what happened was the director, or at least Alexander Korda, who was the producer, he got pulled into making a propaganda film for the Allied side called "The Lion Has Wings" or something like that. Was that what it was called?
Yeah, but Alexander Korda, we know him from the great science fiction epic H.G. Wells himself. Wrote the script. It's Things to Come, which was actually, if you like epic movies, science fiction epics, you'll like this movie. It can be a little preachy and political in the dialogue, but otherwise, grand scale. This movie has a whimsical epicness in and of itself.
Grand scale. Well, I was going to say that. I was going to say the thing that Things to Come and Thief of Bagdad share is like a huge scale. That's one of the reasons why I think the early directors that Alexander Korda had tried to pull in, he kind of like undercut them and tried to cut them out of the picture, is because they made it too intimate and small, and he was like, too tiny. I want big. I mean, there are scenes with a giant genie. There's a giant the temple of the sun or the goddess or whatever. And there's that big, kind of almost Buddhist-looking statue of the goddess, which has, what's his name? Abu is like climbing on her eyelid. I mean, come on, scale. Huge scale.
Yeah, Leia, what did you think about the scale of this movie?
It was pretty ambitious given the technology of that time period.
I will definitely agree. Lots of special effects utilized.
And usually, those type of special effects can kind of seem tacky. But in a way, I don't know if it's just the commitment to the bit that everyone had.
Yeah.
Or just the way they did the special effects. But it didn't come off as, like, tacky to me. Sometimes even, like, nowadays special effects feel tacky. And I feel it's just because people kind of lose the magic of the time. I couldn't go on a full rant on the new Aladdin movie, but I could go on a halfway rant about the movie. That made me sad.
I'm so sorry. A lot of the movies of my childhood were very. I loved those epic movies, like Ten Commandments with Moses splitting the the Red Sea.
I feel like this type of movie leans into being like one of those childhood movies that you'd see on VHS, maybe like a blockbuster rent that just captured your fancy.
Well, not only that, William, what they would do is they would show them on TV, like at the Sunday epic movie or whatever, and it would show on like NBC.
Like all those MGM Tarzans, or was it MGM?
Well,
they would show the Tarzan revival of the 50s or something.
Well,
60s.
they would show different kind of movies. They would show things like Raiders of the Lost Ark, or they would show this, or they would show other movies. Turner Classic movies. You get to see these all the time. That was a favorite of mine when I was younger, is to Turner Classics. That was just a great cable channel.
Is there another movie, Leia, that you remember as a childhood sort of thing that sort of also was sort of a sort of similar to this sentiment?
I feel like I didn't watch too many live action movies when I was a kid. Most of the time they were just like cartoons, and those are hilarious to go back and watch and see how like 3D animation or 2D animation has progressed. But this movie reminded me a lot of, I'd say, Neverending Story. Maybe it was the flying scenes.
Yes.
Maybe it was the kind of goofy stuff.
And on blue screen. Yeah, the flying screens.
Yeah, and the blue screen. Most of the live action stuff I watched, I think, had like puppets.
Yeah.
A lot of those, though I sadly didn't watch Labyrinth or Dark Crystal in my childhood. I watched similar stuff that used more type puppetry.
Yeah, we were more like like the Disney's Atlantis stuff that were like really like pushed into the crevices of Disney overall, not as popular. We watched that. We watched like the twos a lot, especially Atlantis 2 is just, man, how it was like they were gonna make like a series of it, but instead they turned it into like a movie of like adventures.
Atlantis 2 was weird.
Yeah,
I think
because there's like
all the sequels were just weird.
Yeah, there's like the ghost infection, mind infection. I don't remember what exactly it was. I mean, the first movie was weird too, but then there was like the sands of like unleashing a curse of the
Oh my word, yeah.
Lone Ranger type looking dudes. I guess there were multiple
Unsettled
of them.
spirits or something. I don't remember.
And then there was and then there was like the Thor
Ragnarok.
Yeah, the Ragnarok. The dude who was like going after
Akita.
Don't remember her name. Akita. Thinking that
gosh, I don't remember how it's pronounced.
Yeah, like going after her, thinking that he was like her long lost girl, wife, love interest, something.
Something for Michael J. Fox's character, I'm sure, to pop in and save the day. So my thought is, a lot of these older movies, this one's claim to fame not only was the sets and the production and all that kind of stuff, that was great. The thing that really got it kind of set its place in history was the use of the traveling mat of the blue screen, the chroma key, what we call chroma key. Blue screen has been used in thousands upon thousands of movies. I could name
It's often
tons.
what makes movies possible.
Yeah, especially Star Wars used similar. But they refined it over the years. You can still see some. I mean,
like if it wasn't a police drama and it wasn't like Toy Story, then it used blue screen.
Yeah, and it had. But the thing about this is it's not perfect. It's not a perfect blue screen because you can definitely see some of the washover. And I know that hey, you're pointing out the seams, but there are some seams in this movie, and I think that if you take it as just let your imagination run wild and let it just go with where the movie wants to take you. You'll enjoy yourself.
Especially there are like scenes, especially with the Sun Temple, where like they used models instead of building huge sets, like that one shot in the mummy's hand that never really got too much use. There's a huge room. We've seen lots of huge rooms on the podcast before, like Frankenstein, Bride of Frankenstein, stuff like that. But they use like models for it. Sort of makes you think back to, now I'm thinking, it makes you think back sort of to like toys, to like these little model things can sort of make you think of like imagining like toys are doing as you're playing with them in your, I don't know, Lego sets, or like your G.I. Joe or whatever.
You could have these. You could have a closet be an immense.
I remember
temple.
there's like maybe it was like a Star Trek set or something, but there was like this temple with like a face on it, and there was like a trap in the mouth that like flips you over to like the basement, and then there's like I don't remember if it was like G.I. Joe or Star Trek or something.
Yeah, see, these memories all start pouring back, these fantastical memories of youth. There's actually a point in the movie where they talk about the old man with those older people, like in that desert scene where Sabu, I call him Abu, Abu is talking to them. That's the one where they give them the carpet and the crossbow, and they said something like, we've been turned to stone because we've seen evil in the world when children forgot how to imagine and forgot how to be, to create and dream. And I was like, that's where I got out of it. I don't know if that's the exact quote, but I was just like, that's what this movie is. This movie is, it's kind of a throwback to, it is the original thing you would throw back to, to get away from just this mass producing of movies that you get nowadays, where it's just all about, this IP, and we have to, Let's just churn out money.
Losing the wondrous things of Iron Man and Captain America that you can really only experience in toy form.
This is wonder. This movie is wonder and creativity.
It's also based on the 1924 version with Douglas Fairbanks.
Everyone keeps focusing on trying to make things look super duper good that they don't put heart and soul into it. And it's especially their characters, and it's so sad.
A lot of people have said that some of the best characters, the two best characters in this are pretty much Abu and Jafar, honestly, because Jafar is actually given a lot, or Jafar is given a lot to work with. Some people have said that the main character, Ahmed, he's okay, but he's not given a lot to work with, and he's just kind of straightforward.
Yeah, his face reminds me of, there's this chess YouTuber that I really have been liking to watch, and he participated in a event that was called chess boxing, where they play chess and then box, or they play Super Smash Brothers and then box, any combination of those. But yeah, chess boxing is a thing that was hosted by a dude, and he looks really like that dude. He's a popular YouTuber, Ludwig Agri.
So he is a John Justin doppelganger. Everybody's got a doppelganger in the world. But anyway,
they look really similar, apart from the hair.
So did you guys notice where scenes had switched over to and got filmed in America? Because remember I said that when World War II hit, they had to pull out doing this movie. Alexander Korda filmed The Lion Has Wings, which is a very British-based propaganda movie for the Allies. And actually, looking at the filmography of a lot of the actors in this movie, you see that they actually acted in that movie, The Lion Has Wings. So it seems like they did it in between, because he had them all there, and let's just do this. Hey, this is for the boys, or whatever, for the for the war effort. And then they had to switch. They had to come over here to America to kind of get away from a lot of that. And you noticed they had scenes filmed in the Grand Canyon, Monument Valley, Bryce Canyon, the Painted Desert.
Yeah, because they couldn't film in Arabia because, actually filming in Arabia could have its own in general, but
yes.
They couldn't do that because of all the stuff happening, and there was some stuff happening in Arabia, although that might be pushed further back in the 60s and 70s, because my history book consolidated there's so much after the 60s to 90s.
There's Israel, during the 60s there was Israel and Arab
the war in Afghanistan.
Well, that was later. This is like the 6-Day War. Anyway, we're going into historical stuff. But again, when you make a movie that happens around such a big historical event like World War II, it's going to have some impact. But to be honest, the movie still turned out okay, even with what Alexander Korda did making it. Because he was the producer, right? But he had multiple directors. Like, he'd get one director, and then he was like, I don't know. And then, I think he tried to get somebody to do the score.
Yeah, as a result of that, speaking of score, there are some songs in this movie leading me to think that it probably was sort of a musical.
It was.
Although technically a musical with less than 4 songs
No, but yes, it was originally planned to be a musical. There's actually a deleted scene that sits on the cutting room floor, but it's Rex Ingram, a.k.a. the Genie, and he's singing a song.
Leia, what did you think of the music in this movie?
Yes.
I forgot about it.
Well, what about the first one? There's the first one where he's talking.
I remember the first one, yeah.
He's talking about why men come to see, and doing a terrible job. It's the
we were thinking, we were like, Arabian Night.
Yeah.
we were thinking it was kind of that vibe.
Yeah.
Sorry, I hope I didn't copyright us.
No, it's fine. It felt like that at the beginning. But then you had one...
there was a song that Abu was singing, I Want to Be a Sailor, which really led to the furthering of his character arc, I guess, this movie, which was summoning bravery and courage in the echoing...
the spider pits or whatever,
corridor chambers leading to the spider pits.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, the fact that they had, a spider in that scene, there was, all this huge web and the spider, and it came down. Man, I was like, yeah, that I don't know how they...
There's some better spiders to come, but this is a start. And honestly, a lot of the sets, I thought, there's another movie called Krull that has this crystalline-looking spider that looks really good. Plus, we've got a couple other giant spider movies coming in the 50s that are pretty darn good too. But it's hard to really talk about this movie without, I think the plot is the most important part because it's so much happening and things. But the production, the main things that I got out of it were that they had to stop production in the middle. You know, the producer kind of undercut. Some people had like multiple directors and multiple writers, which that can be quite a bit of trouble, to be honest. We know we've had situations with Universal movies where the director would either not show up or he was a jerk, and there was all these different kind of drama. It's the drama behind the drama, which often can happen.
But yeah, this movie ended up turning out probably a decent buck, to understate it.
Yes, plus the other things you could talk about this movie are, of course, the multiple Oscars that it won.
How magical Disney-like it's sort of feeling. Although, again, by Disney, I mean the Renaissance era Disney.
90s.
Nowadays,
the 90s Disney.
It's soulless. Yeah, that's what I meant. 90s was the Renaissance.
That was when Little Mermaid and Beauty and the Beast and Aladdin. Oh, my goodness. Those are some real amazing
But this movie,
times.
I think, along with its 1924 version as well, are both likely to be rated above 7 out of 10 in terms of overallness.
Yeah, I think on Rotten Tomatoes, this one is, I think A Thief of Bagdad is like 100%. It's kind of soaring at like a Metacritic of 8 out of 10, so quite good. Okay, can you guys guess what elements in this movie would have inspired Aladdin? This is pretty easy. So they basically, instead of having a thief named Abu who gets turned into a dog and then back again, we've got
They have a monkey
thief named Abu, and that's
and they split him with him and the thief role, which goes to Aladdin himself.
That's right, who's kind of Ahmed, and he's, instead of being a king who is turned into a beggar adventurer, it's a beggar adventurer who's kind of turned into a king with the Prince Ababwa. Plus, the other thing I mentioned is there's other little things too, like they're pet tigers, right? Do you notice the pet? What? No, I'm sorry. No. Pet tigers. I'm sorry. Pet tigers were in The Thief of Baghdad, 1924. I'm so sorry.
Well, the Jasmine did have a pet tiger.
That's what I was talking about. Yeah. Disney's the Sultan in the Disney version, he was obsessed with toys. He's kind of a short guy, a little rotund, and has a very interesting shaped beard, and the way he talks, it just seems like what's
so interesting about his beard?
Well, because it comes over his lip and then over down and then shoots back up to his like mutton chops, his sideburns, and that's exactly he has it's a very interesting shaped mustache. Well, the obvious one is Jafar.
You mean Jafar?
He's obsessed with Jafar. Sorry, he's obviously obsessed with the princess. Just like Jafar seems to be in the cartoon.
Yeah, and he be playing by the somnambulist himself from Caligari, Conrad Veidt. I think we have seen a couple more times, but man, is he grown older.
Yeah, he's in his 40s, at the late 40s at this point. He does have some good lines. I mean, the part where he tells Ahmad or whatever. He tells him there are 3 things that can have you rule the world, the kingdom. He goes the yoke and the lash and the whatever. It's good stuff.
But another thing that I wanted to mention, and actually in your notes, I think you also have this in your notes, funnily enough, is a movie that comes out or was developed in the 1960s, which sort of inspired Aladdin. And also probably gained some inspiration from this film too, but not really.
They tried not to. They tried not to copy it because it's so easy to start getting, start kind of copying off of it.
Well, Aladdin stole everything from it, but The Thief and the Cobbler.
Yes. Wasn't it like lost for a while? And they came out with a Criterion.
It was unfinished. It's still unfinished. Did they put it on Criterion?
I don't know, but they did. They put it on Blu-ray.
I swear, if they put it on Criterion,
there's a Blu-ray I think that's been, and it was greatly.
Yeah, there were 3.
Improved.
There were 2 versions that released. There was the Princess and the Cobbler, which was Miramax did that, which was Disney. They added songs, and then there was Arabian Nights with the KN, which was distributed by, I don't know, somebody else. But yeah, there are some comparisons to make with Aladdin, being a predecessor to Aladdin. It being an unfinished film, they sort of stole their ideas and went like, oh, well, we had the ideas first, haha, but they didn't actually. There are a peasant and a princess are in love. A vizier with a bird, who also is in Aladdin. Actually, he's voiced by Vincent Price, funnily enough, in The Thief and Cobbler. And he's attempting to throw a wrench in their plans. But yeah, the basic plot of the movie also follows different from that, is that there's like Klingon like one eyes who are like these ultimate warriors who are like invading when the thief and the cobbler steals the 3 protecting ornaments of the golden city. The golden balls. They keep talking about the balls, the golden balls, you know. But yeah, I did sort of want to talk about the movie, The Thief and the Cobbler, being interesting. I've watched it before.
It'd be nice to check that out at some point and see the similarities with Aladdin.
It'd be nice to check it out. I'll have to cobble together my own cut, because while there are some brief depictions of blood in like one part of it, he's like having the Sultan, who is eerily similar to Aladdin's Sultan again, has this vision of the one eyes coming, and there's like blood in that vision. But there are some really unnecessary scenes with the thief. Most of them are unnecessary scenes because he doesn't really play too much of a part other than stealing the balls. But I won't cut all those scenes. There's just some of them that are like slightly unnecessary, or like more necessary than the other slightly unnecessary ones. But anyway, yeah, talking about it, this was directed by Richard William, who this was his magnum opus that he really wanted. He was the animation director on Who Framed Roger Rabbit. This movie took 31 years in a pit of production, mainly because there was so much animation to do. There was a big rewrite early in production. For the 14 years of that 31 were spent in the first 10 minutes. And
wow.
A lot of that was due to the animation, which is there's like a humongous golden city frames that are just huge, literally huge, like bigger than a man, or like the height of a man lying down. Man, it was big. You've heard of IMAX?
Yes.
Man, this it's way bigger than an IMAX. And all the animation was done on ones, which means one frame, 24 frames a second, which most people do like 12 to like save their poor hands, have to pencil in all that. There was a lot of independent funding, expensive complex scenes that really dealt toward this 31 not being finished even after 31 years. That's a really long time. Also, lack of planning for the story really did that. Some amazing scenes to mention was the palace chase scene is really great. So is the thief is at one point balancing on a stick. That one's pretty great. There's a lot of great scenes.
Yeah, we'll have to look at that sometime.
Yeah, there was the ending scenes were funded by a Saudi prince. He was really asking around the director for money, man. But yeah, those ending scenes are amazing. He did get, the prince did get cold feet after so much money was dumped into that. He was like, maybe I won't fund this anymore. But yeah,
right.
We'll watch it someday. Just wanted to talk about something I liked.
No, that's great. That's great. That's what we're here for.
It's a bizarre movie, honestly. And Aladdin, honestly, did steal a lot of things from it.
Tons.
And Disney made the Princess of the Cobbler, which means that they were like an Arabian Nights. It really sounds like a knockoff. They're trying to pose it as a knockoff of Aladdin because Aladdin came out. When Aladdin came out, they were like, okay, boys, let's actually get this done and forcefully hand it over to Miramax to complete the movie. But yeah, that's enough of Thief of the Cobbler.
Let's talk about the cast of the movie. I think we all had some good performances in here, but I want to talk about somebody that did a good handful of movies, but it's had a very interesting way about him, and that's Sabu. His birth name is Sabu Dastagir. They also said it could be his real name could be Selar Sabu, but he was born in India. Of course, he's Indian. He was born there. He got his United States citizenship
and he is
later.
In the 1960s live-action Jungle Book. In comparison to the newer
Mowgli.
one, as Mowgli, and I think that might be on Disney Plus.
But not the Sabu Jungle Book. That's probably elsewhere. I will tell you that his dad was an elephant rider, or a mahout, is what it's called, an elephant rider. You basically ride elephants, and you can herd them. So his first role was in 1937 in The Elephant Boy. He was only 13 years old. They were like, oh, okay. And of course, just like Jungle Book, it was based off of a story that Rudyard Kipling had wrote. So again, if hey, look, if you're wanting really well done stories that a English audience would go for, you'd do Rudyard Kipling, and then who would you get? You'd get Sabu. People liked him a lot. He was he had a very interesting way about him. Had a wonderful grace. Michael Powell, who was the director of this movie, said about him. He has a very non-pretentious way of acting. He just kind of is, right? Jungle Book was actually directed by Zoltan Korda, which is the brother of Alexander Korda, and I think he's also listed on this movie as well. So those Kordas, they just get around. Oh, he was also in a movie called Arabian Nights, which actually was not based off of completely the 1001 Tales.
And nor was it Arabian Nights.
It wasn't Arabian Nights either, no.
It wasn't Arabian Nights, the Thief and the Cobbler release that...
Now, something cool, you remember how you said World War II changes everything? Well, Sabu became a citizen in 1944, and of course the U.S. had already been pulled into the war. I think we kind of put our head in the sand for a little bit until December 1941, the date that would live in infamy, which is the bombing of Pearl Harbor, and it's kind of like...
So he was like drafted himself into the war.
No, he became an American citizen, and he joined the Air Forces, and he served as a tail gunner. So he's like in the back of like those big planes shooting down, those Nazis.
Leia, what do you think it would be like to imagine Abu in this movie?
I'm going to shoot you
flyer.
in your Nazi face,
But first, I need to give my wishes from the genie.
No, he's like, adventure at last!
Oh, he flies around on the genie! He flies around on the genie.
On his back, and he a literal tail gunner sitting on the back of his red diaper.
Just and then the shooting down the Nazis.
No.
Oh my goodness.
So, but of course, he got married in 1948 to an actress that was very little known named Marilyn Cooper. She only had one part. She played Princess Tara in Song of India, and she was actually with him in that. It was in 1949, and she was.
Sounds romantic.
She wasn't even credited as the role. She had a couple. They had a couple
Leia,
kids.
what do you think about that?
No credit.
Yeah, exactly. No, here's what.
Credit your woman.
You okay? So here's what happened though. He did have a little bit of a snafu in his life. There was a dancer that he supposedly romanced when he did a movie called Black Narcissus. Her name was Brenda Julier, and I think that maybe she got pregnant and was trying to sue him for paternity.
Ew.
The whole "you are not the father." They did that with him. He actually, the trial went in, and he kind of gave up, and it was like he didn't want to go through with this, even though he probably wasn't his kid. Who knows? It may have been. But he just said, I'll admit paternity, and let's just move forward. So here's the thing. Sabu passed away in 1963. He was in the day before his 40th birthday. He actually did go get a checkup with the doctor. The doctor was like, if all my patients were as healthy as you, I'd be out of a job. And so the guy died the day after that, had a heart attack, unfortunately. So that's very sad. But...
Did he die just to spite him?
No, I don't think so. That would be terrible.
That'd be hilarious. But the U.S. Health Service, man, the U.S. Health Service.
Yeah, well, okay.
Let's not turn it into a whole argument.
Let's
with the
not.
US
Yeah.
Health Service.
So I won't say too much. Honestly, I hate to say this. I won't say too much about June Deprez. She's the princess.
The one that she's the princess. Leia, what did you think about the princess?
She was pretty.
Yeah, she's okay. I think she's okay.
And very pale.
Yeah, so that was a thing.
And you said her nose was cute.
Oh yeah, she did have a cute nose. Her acting was okay, though.
Okay. Here's the thing about their romance. It's been said that it was very. The word was bloodless, which means that it was very passionately mild. You didn't see the chemistry between her and John Justin.
Yeah, he just enchanted her by being the genie.
Yeah, it felt kind of like dishonest. It felt like she thought he was a genie, it also felt like she was a really young, naive character. She just felt like she was going along with literally everything.
Yeah, and
she felt like a kid.
She's like forgetting him and remembering him.
She was like, I'm gonna break your curse, just randomly go on a ship and have the Grand Vizier, like, hug herself so that he can break the curse.
Like, how did she even break the curse? She didn't even get to be like, I will use the power of love.
No, yeah,
Love.
whatever that is.
Wow. It was just, oh, she broke the curse. And then for this guy, it's like, wow.
So June Duprez, she joined Alexander Korda's film group. And when she came over to America, Alexander Korda had already taken over her management. And he was like, yeah, she can get $50,000 per movie. And they were like, we don't really know any of your work here. Sorry, you're not really going to get that. So she ended up doing a lot of B movies.
And just so you know, I don't have a calculator right here, but $50,000 would be quite a bit of worth.
At that time.
Yeah, oh shoot, what was it? It was the new Bayonetta or something. The Bayonetta actress was asking for like a whole ton of money for like, I don't know, not barely
just for her voice?
Yeah, just for her voice popularity and her popularity, I guess, but like it was the third Bayonetta game, and so I don't know if it like halted the production, the making of the game, or I don't know, but it was some controversial thing. I don't know how Bayonetta 3 is doing right now.
I do know that I think after until about 1944, she was able to get some better parts. They still weren't. They were in parts with movies with bigger named actors in it. So what you do is if you're in a movie with a bigger named actor, you can kind of say, oh, I was in a picture with so and so, and it raises your.
And so June Rose Duprez comes into the limelight, riding off of someone else's fame.
Yeah, well, hey, a lot of people would do that. I mean, if you were doing a movie with Jimmy Stewart, that's great. You may not be like the top build with them, but you got on screen with Jimmy Stewart. You can use that on your resume. Anyway, so the guy who played Ahmed is John Justin. I didn't know this. His name is John Justinian de Ledesma.
I was about to say he was Justin Okay.
Justin Okay. Wow.
But his middle name is Justinian. So what?
Justin Okay actor.
Was he Ledesma?
No. Are you trying to make puns again? No, it's okay. He's half Argentinian. That's where his name comes from. But he was actually born in Knightsbridge, London, England. Here's the thing that I'll say about him is that he actually did the same as Sabu. He joined the Air Force. Did join it for the Brits.
Oh, that'd be cute if they piloted together.
They wouldn't have, because Sabu was an American citizen at the time, and he fought for the Americans. The Americans and the Brits would.
Oh, he fought for the Brits.
They wouldn't have fought exactly in the same, what they call it, theater of war. They wouldn't always.
Yeah, because America would be more in the Philippines and the Pacific Islands.
Yes, the British were there too. They might have crossed paths, but it's very difficult to say that would have happened. But that would have been a nifty thing.
Fighting Japan versus the UK was more fighting, Germany, fighting along with protecting France.
John Justin, my friend. Sabu, my friend. Have you found adventure at last? Yes, I have, and I also shot down some Nazi planes. Okay, but the thing about that I really thought was interesting about John Justin is he did some parts with some big named people. I guess kind of like what June Duprez was doing. But he said later on, I love the stage. He called his film career a mistake because he would have been able to do more stuff on the stage. Some people love the stage so much they don't want to be in movies because the movies are magical to watch them, but to make them, sometimes it's the magic is, hey, let's do a scene 5,000 times, all right, or let's not, and you have to wait in your trailer, and then finally you get called again. But see, when you do it on the stage, Leia can speak to this too because she's a stage actress. It's electric. Boogie woogie. You feel it, okay? There's people right out there. You can just see them, and you can see them enraptured by what's happening. You're flying by wire. You could make one little mistake, and and you have to kind of improvise and fix it. There's no editing. It's all live. There's an energy to that, and it's a nervous energy.
Yeah, and there's not the break or the
No.
redo, and your props are all your own. It's really nice. I have done stage productions, and there definitely is a difference, but there is value. And when it comes to filming something, there is also that rush of being able to have a mess up that you play off, and then that gets to be in the film, and you don't always want to mess up, and sometimes you have to retake if you mess up. There's that equal magic of getting a chance to improvise even still.
But especially in like in a film like this, where like most of the stuff can be done with special effects, and music, that often even practically every film, you're just like sitting there with just the noise of like the humming of like the electric equipment in the case of modern movies. You're sitting there with barely anything to work with. What's supposed to be a genie, you're just staring at the air.
Yeah, and it's a lot different to kind of imagine something that you're just gonna green screen in, but I feel like the actors really did commit to it, and they did a good job.
There's there's an old story, I think, with Ian McKellen, who played Gandalf, and he's on a green screen, completely surrounded by green, and he's just sad. He had this sad look in his eyes because he's not playing off of anyone. He's not feeling the energy from other actors and putting out his energy to other actors. It's just like I think he wanted to be around the hobbits.
It's really
you know?
hard to be able to give it your all. It's hard to be confident and like give it your all, especially like when your confidence is like, is this really gonna be good? Is there really gonna be a genie up there? What's gonna happen? Is this gonna be edited out? Oh no, anxiety.
It's like when there's two people, you kind of can pretend together, and it's really funny to kind of be in that scene, and you kind of have that energy.
You got to be careful because you're using your imagination. I agree, but sometimes it can have an opposite effect. I've heard some people say that in Quantum Mania and Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, there's a lot of scenes where people are on virtual sets and they're just looking around at stuff that they probably can't see. We can see, but they can't see. They can't see it. So let's talk about Rex Ingram. He plays the genie. Such a great part in this movie.
First African American man to receive a Phi Beta Kappa.
Phi Beta Kappa
from
key.
Northwestern University.
What that is that's a special honor for a fraternity. Phi Beta Kappa is a fraternity, so that's like a big thing. I would say this as well. Early on, when Rex Ingram got to Hollywood, of course they're like, okay, we're doing some silent pictures. Guess what? We want you to, and this happened to Noble Johnson. We talked about Noble Johnson in Most Dangerous Game. He was also in, I believe,
King Kong.
Yes, and he was also in Rue Morgue, Murders in the Rue Morgue, I believe. He was like the bad guy helper of, I think, of Dr. Miracle. Dr. Miracle? Am I right? You have to watch. You had to go listen to that episode.
Continue. Yeah, he was in Tarzan, Green Pastures, Huckleberry Finn, and a bunch of other stuff.
Huckleberry Finn. He played Jim, the slave Jim. So Rex Ingram was arrested, unfortunately, for violating the Mann Act, M-A-N-N Act, in 1948. He was sentenced to 8 months in jail. He served 10 months of that, but his career basically took a serious nosedive. We know another actor who... what was the other actor that dealt with something really bad that messed up his career for the rest of his time?
No, I don't remember.
Cedric Hardwicke. Wasn't it? I think it was. Okay, but I will tell you that that can really mess up your career, whether you did something wrong or it's thought that you did something wrong. It's going to mess up your career. It's
just think of the Amber Heard case.
Yeah,
and
Johnny
Depp, Amber Heard case.
I just read an article. He basically said he's kind of starting to think he's done with Hollywood. Did you know that the guy who plays the Sultan actually helped write this movie?
Huh.
He was like, I want to be the dude who has a ton of toys and who rides. Oh, that makes more sense. He wanted to ride on a horse for a straight 2 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely.
It looked like he had fun, though.
But this guy's a writer. He did some adaptations of some Moliere plays as well. We are going to see...
are we doing Dracula 1958?
Oh, boy, are we? Oh, yes. It's also,
maybe we could talk about him a bit more.
It's also known as Horror of Dracula. It's a Hammer film, and it's really good, and it's really bloody in a good way, in a lot of good ways. But honestly,
In a lot of good ways.
Like, a lot of times, if it's a vampire movie, at most it'll just be rated R for violence.
No, this one will be
mankind.
I've seen these. They're definitely can be part of our podcast. We welcome these Hammer movies. This movie was I thought was really good. I think it's a classic movie for many reasons. I do think that it's one of those movies that can inspire a lot of other movie makers to create some amazing films. But it's kind of a starting place, I think, where a lot of these epic fantastical movies could go. Like you said, you remember Neverending Story. I don't think there could be a Neverending Story without movies like Thief of Baghdad kind of setting that precedent.
But let's make this an ending story and finally get on to...
Good segue.
Yeah, finally get on to a plot section. Due to the timing of things come out, I'm going to announce something probably in at the end of both sections of this podcast, is that by the time that this comes out, we will likely have done our very first live stream commemorating 100 subscribers on YouTube and 50 listens to our first episode on Spotify, Apple Podcast, the like, according to our host Anchor.
And it was probably all because of me.
Yes.
I am just kidding. I'm just kidding. You guys are so talented. Goodness.
All right, so let's take a little quick break.
We will take a break in the podcast. We'll play our lovely music for, I don't know how many exact seconds, but it's like 5 or 6. And then we'll get on to the beautiful plot by our sister Leia, who will be providing a new perspective on this whimsical, fantastical... How do you even describe the plot of this?
Arabian Night of a story. I don't know.
Adventure!
At last.
Wow.
Crystal finding...
Yes.
I guess. I don't know.
See you then.
See you then. Fact is that, like, The Thief of the Cobbler is like, how was it able to release, although it was a unfinished film, is beyond me. Like, how did it get on Criterion? I don't know. Like, it's just that's the whole point of it. Oh, hello there. Hello, podcast listeners. Today we are doing, of course, we're continuing our deep dive into Thief of Baghdad. Obviously, last time we did talk about Thief of the Cobbler earlier.
A little too much.
Hey, we are
Aladdin.
We are the Tangentlemen. That's what we do.
Don't discount it. It was
No, of course
I'm
not.
all into that.
It was fun.
Hey, we know you got inspired, bro. We were just like, hey, wow.
I was like, from the beginning of knowing what this episode was about, I was like, hey, we're gonna talk about Thief and the Cobbler, man. It's gonna be so cool. But yeah, we might do something about Thief and the Cobbler sometime later, but yeah, go check that part out if you want to hear more about that. We interrupt you from this daily scheduled broadcast to tell you that my dad spoke earlier about all of the DVD releases. It turns out from the research that I have that all of those are the Miramax release and not the original cut. And that Criterion Collection cover you've been seeing float around the internet is fake. It is fan art. So technically, there has been no original release of this other than the recobbled cut on YouTube. It is merely The Princess and the Cobbler and Arabian Nights. It might say Thief of the Cobbler on the box, but that is merely a renamed version of Arabian Nights. Thank you for your time. Just some corrections. Let's get back on the plot. So, of course, Leia's going to do the plot of Thief of Baghdad for us today. She's got something she's been cooking up in her brain, and hopefully she remembers everything. Let's do it.
Joke's on you. I've forgotten everything.
No, yeah, this movie this movie was very memorable. I mean, I showed some to your mom tonight, and she was like, she thought everything was beautiful.
It was a fun movie.
Very well designed.
Yeah. I remember it a lot more than a good chunk of things. That's saying something, given I am kind of the forgetful type, unless it comes to that random moment when I was a kid in Brooklyn.
Right.
Yeah.
When you were a kid in Brooklyn. Shooting webs. All right.
Hanging with Captain America. I remember that. Good childhood memory.
Hey, everyone.
Good job.
Yep.
Okay. Are you guys ready?
Yeah.
Yes, we are.
You guys on your magic carpet ride?
Why don't you come with me, little girl, on a magic carpet ride?
Yes. Absolutely.
And this is only the beginning of many, many references to Aladdin.
Yes, of course.
It's not a whole new world. I'm sorry.
A whole new world.
Boo, boo. I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's okay.
Okay. So, very similar to Aladdin. I'm sorry. You're just gonna get the Aladdin references with this. Very similar to Aladdin, we open with a song, which it's not quite the same as Arabian Nights.
No, not as iconic.
Not at all. Arabian Nights was absolutely iconic. I still sing that song all the time. I remember in the reaction where we were doing, I was there just going, Arabian Nights, and I will stop there for copyright. And I'm like, that was a good chunk of me singing. Oopsies.
Yeah.
Oopsies.
The song, it sounds like it fits in another musical, almost like something about the Mississippi Delta or something like that, you know, where the guys are going out to sea or something like that. It could be in the 1920s.
Everything's a fantasy when you sing something.
Yeah.
It felt a little,
You gotta sing about
disjointed, you know? But
Yeah.
Yeah, I keep getting recommended a clip of this owl from like a short singing a song I love to sing about my mama and my papa love to sing it.
I love to sing it. I like to sing and never stop it to my papa.
I don't remember all the lyrics, but it's a fun song. I might send it to you.
It is cute. I think I remember that.
So what happens after we get these wonderful shots of ships going about their business like it's the beginning of Lego Ninjago, the Lego Ninjago
yeah.
movie?
Right.
that was a good movie. We could get in a whole tangent about that, but
What were they saying? I think they were just saying like hello in various languages, or like hello Ninjago City.
Buenos dias, Ninjago! Hiya, Ninjago! G'day, Ninjago! Good morning, Ninjago! Bonjour, Ninjago! Good morning, Ninjago!
yeah.
Hello, Baghdad.
Hello, Baghdad.
Good morning, Vietnam!
Yeah, we have a ship. Very, very similar to if you guys have seen the live-action version of Aladdin. They had the genie, who is played by Will Smith.
Will Smith.
Will Smith.
Will Smith, and he is on a boat singing the Arabian Nights. This time he's we have was it Jafar on the boat?
In Thief of Bagdad, Jafar, I believe, was on a coach.
Well, what? No, not starting
he
out.
was
Might
on
have
the-
been on a. He
got-
might have started on.
He
the
got
boat.
off the boat and he was meeting with this. She wasn't a princess, but she was kind of a princess. I don't know. She looked kind of like an evil princess or something.
Yeah, she was like a high-up lady, it seemed.
Halima, or whatever her name is. Yeah.
But she still had this kind of creepy, like, ooh, you seem like you're into, like, evil politics, but, like, very subtly. Subtle evil.
Evil politics.
They talk about
Evil
some stuff
politics.
that's curious. Like, he doesn't really explain what they're talking about.
Yeah, it's kind of a hinted at, and it's like, I wonder what's going on with these two. Seems nefarious.
And you're right.
And you would be right, because plot is sometimes predictable, and that's okay.
Yep. This is a fairy tale.
Coming from a writer.
This is a fairy tale, as you know, in terms of the way that Arabian Nights stories are told, or the stories of Scheherazade. So something about a princess is asleep, and they're looking for the blind man.
Dead?
She still sleeps.
You followed my orders?
Yes, Master.
And the blind man?
He has been found.
Yeah, apparently there's this prophecy around. Well, the princess has been asleep for a bit, and we don't know who she is, but apparently a blind man is the one who might be able to rescue her. Who do we meet next? Is a man who has a dog. That dog is very important. It's a great dog. I love that dog.
Is a blind man with a dog that can detect counterfeit coin.
Dog tell bad from good.
See for yourself.
Now, by the wonder of Allah, it is a false coin, and I myself knew it not.
Yeah, and he's pulling off some sort of a transaction thing.
He's saying
Collecting
alms for the love of Allah.
Alms for the love of Allah.
And
Yeah.
one of the guys gives him coins, and wouldn't you know it, one of them's false. And the guy doesn't even know it's a false coin. Of course, he says that, but you know.
But he probably had the inkling.
Yeah, the dog is very smart, but we don't
Yeah.
know anything about the dog other than that.
Next, the woman we saw earlier, who was kind of conspiracying with this Jafar person, who
is very much not Jafar, a totally different
sorry,
guy.
I can't help calling him Jafar.
Jafar.
I can't help calling him Jafar.
He's totally a good guy. He's Jafar.
Well, do you remember whenever we were in the production part, I was calling Ahmed Conrad Veidt, and it's not. It's Jafar. That's Conrad Veidt. I got it totally mixed up. I messed up.
It's hard to tell when in the process of 30 years he's just grown this beauteous, beautiful mustache.
Yes, so he honestly reminds you of you grown up.
Ha.
I would say in his 50s or 60s, but
It's
continue.
possible, yes.
This woman who was conspiring with Wish.com Jafar
Right.
comes over and she's talking about how to get this blind man to the palace. And she approaches him, and in exchange for prayers, she'll give him whatever sustenance he needs.
Pray for me. My name is Halima.
I do not know you.
Does one always know one's friends?
I have none to know.
Can you not trust in one who brings not words but deeds? In my house there is food and rest, and what is mine is yours.
Why should you offer this?
For your prayers?
In the next scene, we see who we guess is the princess, spoken of while she's asleep. I said she was important. She is very important. Jafar, which is, it sounds so weird. Sounds like Jasper.
Yes, from Twilight, yeah.
Oh man, that would have been funny. Imagine Jasper just staring, just being like,
He's like, well, I'm the evil vizier of this country.
he's like, oh yeah, this totally not evil Jasper. And you look over and he's just got this expression of like barely able to contain himself from murdering
from hunger
everybody.
for blood, yeah.
You know, the casual life of the Cullens. They just all have this look of perpetual.
Well, Jafar or Jafar,
murdery.
he's creepy too, but in a different way. He's creeping on the princess right now. He's like watching her as she's
He's
sleeping.
like watching her as she sleeps and is like, this blind man of the prophecy can cure her.
This is a sleep beyond my knowledge. Only this I know, when the blind man comes to her, she will be cured.
And this will be her love or whatnot.
The fact is, Ahmed is indeed her love, but Jafar is like, no, he isn't.
No, he
you
ain't.
Stupid head. I'll teach her to not be in love with blind men. That's
Well,
stupid.
he says
so
it's the
rude, my
lisping.
word.
He says it's the lisping of two children.
But she loves the blind man.
Do you call the lisping of two children in a garden love?
So he's saying like it's just little puppy love, you know, that the two children have. It's not real.
Honestly,
he says, "I will show
kinda
her
right.
what love is," and you're like, "Ugh."
Love she has yet to learn. I'm here to teach her.
He's an incel.
he's a total incel.
Yeah, but meanwhile, Ahmed, I recall, is talking to a bunch of princesses. They're giggling to themselves, but they want a story. So Ahmed is telling the story about how he was a king.
There was once a king, son of a king and of 100 kings.
Can you explain what that flashback, or how that flashback went?
Well, turns out the story that he tells is actually the story of the entire movie. What?
He doesn't. You don't know that he's Ahmed or whatever. You don't know that there's anything more to him than just being a blind man. But evidently there is.
It's kind of an interesting place to start. We're starting sort of right before we get to the main conflict, where you have the setup for something is going to happen, and that's going to end the movie. So we're kind of watching these people interact, and they know what needs to be done to rescue the princess. A whole lot of the movie is set in what is technically the past. So it's a really interesting way to get us to care about these characters before we start, like, with the main bulk of the story, because technically the story does start with him being a king and not blind. So that poses a question, why is he blind? So he starts his story by telling them that he was once a great king of a great kingdom, and turns out that along with him not being blind, at least originally, the dog that has become sort of a friend and servant to him is not actually a dog.
And this dog was not a dog. but a youth who lived in Baghdad and became dear to the king.
So this dog is actually a thief, which if you are familiar with Aladdin, again, Aladdin reference, he is a thief named Abu, which is a little ironic considering the name of Aladdin's monkey in the Disney version.
Gotta face the facts, you're my only friend, Abu.
His name is Abu. And Abu has a very similar tale of stealing bread and making his escape. And as Abu is making his escape, he is able to lose the merchants who were selling that bread. He manages to get on a rooftop and to see that there is an announcement. King Ahmed and his right-hand man, Jafar, I almost said Jafar, and that kind of sets the scene, sets the mood. Which this is a kind of an interesting question that the audience has posed, is who are these people? How did they get this way? A man becoming a dog is not an everyday occurrence. I've never actually heard of that being an occurrence.
Nope, but in the world of Arabian Nights, anything's possible.
Yes. It's a land hotter than hot, in a lot of good ways.
Right.
I'm so sorry. I am fighting every urge in my body not to sing Arabian Night. That's how catchy it is.
So I believe this is sort of nearing where the flashback ends, and he says he has 365 wives.
365 wives were mine. In my heart there was no love.
Yes,
well, every day of the year.
He takes a moment, and he says he has like 50 homes, but he never feels at home anywhere.
50 palaces, and I had no home.
And he's got 365 wives, one for each day of the year, but he doesn't know what love is. He just has no love with any of them. And he feels, having all the riches, but he feels extremely poor.
Richest among my subjects, I was the poorest of the poor.
It is the classic tale of rich people not understanding how to truly appreciate their wealth because they've had it their whole life. That is the opposite to a poor thief who has not had much, but has had to learn how to savor everything that they get.
He's rich in freedom. There's a part where he says, where Abu actually later says that he has nothing but, just freedom.
And I've had nothing but freedom.
Exactly, but Jafar and Ahmed are really disagreeing on how he should rule. Jafar wants him to be conquering.
You will learn one day, great king, that there are but three things that men respect. The lash that descends, the yoke that breaks, and the sword that slays. By the power and terror of these, you may conquer the earth.
He wants to bring happiness to the world.
I thought I might try to give them happiness.
Happiness. They are fools and knaves.
And so therefore Jafar says you will not understand the people you're bringing happiness to until you go about them like King Louis the whatever, I'd assume.
What?
Going among us people.
No, I think you're talking about King Henry
King Henry.
It's Henry
right.
V from the Shakespeare
Henry
play.
V.
Yeah, he puts himself in.
I'm like, it wouldn't really be Louis.
No,
Louis is more of a backseater.
That's French. Yeah, in the play Henry V, he puts on a cape and a cowl and or a cloak, whatever, and he goes among the men, his soldiers, his men, to see what they really think of him. And
in this case, I don't think it was that lucky, but Jafar convinced all of them that he was not indeed his king, and to put him in jail as a madman.
Arrest him, put him in prison. When he says he's a king, tell them he's a madman.
For being like, why, I'm your king, don't insult me or something.
Jafar has been trying to overthrow this dude, and he's been planting just seeds of doubt and hurt in these people who see him not as someone who's kind, but as someone who's spoiled and rich and doesn't care.
Ahmed is the oppressor. So like, there's a
yeah, because
what about the prophecy?
There was a dude.
There's a prophecy.
There was a dude who said there's a prophecy that there'd be a liberator from the low, and there would be someone coming.
He's
in
the
from
low.
The clouds.
He's the lowest of the low, but yet he's flying above the clouds.
Yeah, and then there's also they're talking about the tyrant, and the tyrant is King Ahmed, of course. And so he goes, no, he's not. And he's like, well, why do you say that? And he goes like, well, I am. Well,
it says that Jafar comes after him and or he goes, send the men after him. And if he says, oh, I'm a med, you're going to be like, you're a madman. You're crazy. And so he
really said gaslight, gatekeep, girl boss.
Yeah, he framed him.
So you know who else is being kept in a gate? Abu.
Or behind one. Yeah, Abu gets put in jail about the same time.
Yeah, Abu expresses, his desire to go around the world.
As the sun rises, we'll take a boat, go down to the sea. I've never seen the sea, but I've heard the sailors on the riverside talk about it.
When he decides to break both of them out with his ingenuity, Ahmed is sort of like, I don't want to go about the world. I want to, escape and be among my people again. Or go back to being a king. But Abu is like, come on, travel with me in the world. I'll be a sailor and we'll go all around the world.
And carry you to the Isles of India and China.
The Isles of India and China.
Go to the places the Vikings haven't gone yet.
Well, he waited until everybody was asleep, and then they snuck out. And then, of course, you get them getting a ship.
They do steal some pancakes, though.
Yeah, that's after they get to Basra, though.
Oh, is this the part where he sings, I want to be a sailor,
sailing out to sea.
Sailing out to sea.
He says that after, what he does is he actually reveals to Abu that he is King Ahmed.
Of course.
And he's kind of overwhelmed because he's like,
no. You're not. But they wouldn't have sent soldiers after just a common guy. So they're like, wait a minute, you are important. He goes, wait a minute, you are Ahmed. You have to be. So he says, okay, we're gonna go to get on the ship, and we'll be sailing, and we'll be in Basra in 3 days, and that's where you get him singing about being a sailor.
No plow but Inca tailors any fun to be.
Yeah, and Abu wasn't thrilled at Ahmed because of all the
He said, if I get let me just get my hands on him just once, and he goes, go ahead, I'm right here.
Oh, if I could only lay my hands on him just once. If I could only tell him what a fool he was.
Tell it now.
Yeah. It's sort of a fun reveal. It's kind of like you hate him so bad, you want at him? Go ahead. I don't care at this point. But he kind of warms up to him, it's a really, really sweet.
They go to Basra, and you see the bazaar. It's beautiful, and there's food there, and like Abu in Aladdin, he does think with his stomach a lot.
But I believe they do encounter some bozo walking around. They ask who's ruling right now, and he goes, hey, the person who's ruling, there's the Sultan. He really likes toys, and Jafar is his consultant.
Run along and play with your little toys,
Yeah, and like he says, all old men love toys. That's definitely.
That is a really strange, specific generalization.
Well,
after all, for a dude who co-wrote the script, definitely wanted to fly on horses and toys, have toys.
Yeah. That's right.
Character.
The guy who played the Sultan, he kind of wrote some of this, so pretty good. He's written some other things too. I think we talked about that before. See, there's so many things in this. Like the Sultan actually likes little toys and doodads and mechanical things. In Aladdin, again, we're referencing that again, but again, it's definitely an inspiration for the Disney movie. So
also, I believe the princess is coming on a carriage through, and no one is allowed to look at her. Whoever does will be shot.
Well, whoever sees her.
Fortunately, Abu has a melon to protect himself.
Yeah, melons.
Well, he's hungry. He's just hungry. He's like, I'm up here on the roof hanging out with Ahmed. I'm definitely gonna get a melon. Because he thinks with his stomach, right? He's like, nobody's watching the melons.
Honestly, he has his priorities straight. Ahmed is just like, I have to see this girl that I was told not to look at,
Yeah, wow.
What's her name? What's her cell phone number?
We don't know her cell phone number. We don't even know her name. She's just called the princess. There's nowhere.
Oh, my word.
There's nowhere in this movie that they say her name. She's just the princess. At least in the Aladdin, she's Jasmine. At least they have to give her that.
And she stands up for herself.
She does, and she's
not a trophy.
No, she's not.
She's not a trophy to be won. She's herself, and she wanted to choose.
And I think is pretty nice. She's honestly a deeper character in the Aladdin movie or the Aladdin cartoon than she is in this. But again, it's only
even in the live action, they kind of.
Yeah, but in this case, Ahmed is like, I want to go see the princess, but Abu is like, we're not done playing Sinbad the Sailor. Want to go sailing with me? Don't you want to still go sailing with me? And he's like, not right now, buddy. I gotta get some girls first.
Yeah, well, he sees her, and he's like, I've got to see her again. She's beautiful. And he does say, that it's kind of like a name drop thing where, it's like saying, hey, we're going to go hang out with Spider-Man. I mean, Sinbad is one of the characters in the Arabian Nights, series.
But I found Sinbad the sailor, and he has given us 2 places on his ship.
So they're kind of name dropping him there. We'll see Sinbad movies later on as we go through our movies here. The point is, he goes, okay, look, I'll let you go see the princess. When you're done, you come with me and we'll go. I'll just hang out here. So.
And next scene, of course, is the reveal of the princess without her veil. She's beautiful, swinging on a swing with some of her ladies.
Her lady friends.
They're gonna go hop in a pool when he's on a tree branch, and she thinks that he's a genie to come visit her. But he's actually not. He does lie to her. He doesn't tell the truth immediately.
I've never seen a genie before.
Well then, what you see? Remember, always to a genie you must tell the truth.
You don't look wicked. Are you a good genie?
Not too good. Very good genie are just as tiresome as very good men.
I guess he does say, pat the pool and see if my reflection goes away.
Yeah, and it does. And so, of course, he drops behind her and he says, he kind of gives some good... He gets a pretty good line here that gets callbacks. What was that line there?
Yes. Didn't he say, like, who are you? And he says, your slave or something?
Your slave.
They keep saying that, and it's like,
I have a soft spot in my heart for romance.
Where have you come from?
From the other side of time, to find you.
How long have you been searching?
Since time began.
Now that you found me, how long will you stay?
Till the end of time.
But this romance was kind of surface level, as I said earlier when they were saying that Jafar. Sorry.
Call him Jafar. It's fine. I'm going to call him Jafar.
5 below Jafar.
You're 5 below, yeah.
Next scene, I believe, is the Sultan and Jafar, as I will pronounce correctly. The Sultan and Jafar are he's showing him all the toys that he's brought him, sort of similar to how Aladdin, as Prince Ali, gives gifts to the Sultan in the Aladdin movie.
That's true.
But
he brings him jam.
Yeah, these various toys bring excitement.
From the live action, that was so awkward.
No.
We have jams.
Jam?
Jams? Yes, jams. Yam jams, fig jams.
Yam jams.
And date jams. Seedless. Delicious, exotic jams.
That was bad, yeah.
Move away from the jams.
What?
That it was Sinbad.
There is one of the greatest ones. There's the flying horse, which is basically like a wind-up horse that can fly you anywhere. Just because it can, and it flew him around. It stood in the air. It was a great scene. We are condensing it a lot. Although I'm like, do you have to keep winding it up or else you're gonna fall and die?
No, I think it lasts for a little while.
It definitely lasts definitely a lot of minutes.
But he's like, okay, if I give you this horse, if you give me the horse, yeah, thank you. What do I give you in return? And
it's like
the
your
daughter.
Say no more. Anyhow, I must have this horse. So I suppose you must have my daughter.
And he
and the Sultan agrees, and the princess is like, no, I don't want this, so she tries to flee.
Good on her.
I believe Ahmed and Abu are in the scene, and so they're captured and sent to them, and they're trying to, go, hey, Jafar's really evil, don't go to do anything with him, but Jafar does magic spells to prevent that from happening. Of course, turning Ahmed blind and Abu into a dog until Jafar holds the princess in his arms.
Yes, which is
creepy.
It's a very strange and trigger for the magic or to be undone.
All right, what happens next, Leia?
So when Ahmed concludes his story, telling the ladies that he has wandered ever since in search of the princess, he is told that the princess is in the palace in a deep slumber which no doctor can wake her from.
Yeah, instead of your princess being in another castle, he's like, hey, your princess is at this castle.
Oh, my head. Mamma mia.
Yeah.
Right.
Conveniently.
And then Mario has to say, thank you, why couldn't you have done this earlier, Toad? And he's like, ah! Sorry, I can't do a Toad right now.
He's just like,
I don't really. I like to do that because this game has to have more levels.
Yes.
Okay, that was my
That
spontaneous
was
Toad
good.
voice.
That was pretty good.
Beautiful.
I really like to do voices only sometimes. Toad is very hard.
Wow.
You're ridiculous.
Okay. I'm freaked out now.
Anyway, she's in a deep sleep. However, Ahmed is blind, so him being in the palace, they take him to her, right?
Do they do the how long have you been searching from the beginning of time? Now that you found me, how long will you stay till the end of time? That's like their code word. They're like, I know.
That was earlier.
Yeah,
but
but
still.
they say it again.
As you
so
wish.
As you wish.
It's as you wish.
They say it again, and did she recognizes that it's him?
Okay, so not only do we have a comparison to popular YouTuber Ludwig Ogren, we also have a comparison to the Princess Bride, the actor of
Carrie Elwes.
Harry Elwes, who's the actor of
Wesley. Carrie Elwes, yeah.
Wesley, right. I was about to say Caesar, and I'm like, that's a bit
would you forget?
more that's a bit more consonant-y. How would I forget? Because I haven't seen it in a while. I'm not a computer. I can't have millions of things in memory. Okay, look, sorry, let's continue with the plot.
Something about taking him to a doctor to take care of him.
To take care of her.
Right.
Yeah, and he leaves his dog, Abu, which is not supposed to be a dog. He was cursed to be a dog. Did we mention that?
Yes.
Yes.
Abu is a dog, right.
Wish.com, Jafar, cursed them. He was like, you aren't gonna say anything. Poof, you're a dog. And you aren't ever gonna see your princess again. Poof, you're a blind man.
Exactly.
Could have made him into a bat. That would have been kind of fun.
Awesome.
That would have been kind of a cool concept for a movie. A bat and a dog somehow have to wake a princess.
Yes.
It's a be homeward bound, except with more variety.
Homeward bat.
FYI, I do know bats aren't blind. I'm just making a joke.
And the critics will say positively screeching.
Flap on in and see this excellent movie. No. All right.
They eat flapjacks in this movie. They actually do.
That's so dumb. I love it.
Okay, what happens with the princess in the ship?
She is also told, the princess, that she is told that she... Okay, give me a sec.
Okay, continue.
The princess is told that she has the power to help Ahmad become not blind through magic. I don't know why she has magic. Everyone has magic. I think it's the magic of true love, or puppy love, or whatever love this is. Puppy love, 'cause of Boo. That's cute. Okay. But sadly, Wish.com, Jafar takes her to a boat. So that she may be separated from her beloved Ahmad.
I remarked earlier about how sudden it is, so it's like, oh, you just have to do this one thing. Boop, you did it.
She woke up, by the way, because
it's just
she
really
was next
weird.
to the blind man, so.
Ahmed could see, and Abu turns into a man. A boy.
Whatever
I'm a real boy.
He's 15.
He turns into Abu. So I think they go in pursuit of Jafar and the princess. I think.
Yes, and
and they're shipwrecked on an island.
Well, wait. First, Jafar's.
First, the princess, Jafar, and the sultan are all together, right? And they're like, princess doesn't want to marry Jafar, but the sultan's like, I'll help you out, but he goes like, hey, sultan, you know this new toy that I've got here? We were talking about like how blue her skin was. She looked like an Avatar character.
What is it? The newest magical toy. The silver maid.
She had multiple
James Cameron.
arms.
Yeah. She is deadly. The sultan is like hugging this beautiful creation, and
her embrace will thrill you as no woman ever has or ever will. Yep.
Her embrace will thrill you as no other woman ever has or ever will.
Yeah, by stabbing you in the back.
He says, do you mean I might get rid of all my wives and have a collection of these things? Wow.
Yeah, this dude needs help.
Now, doesn't the ship that Abu and
the
Ahmed,
ship that crash lands,
he says wind,
Abu,
wind, and it blows. Doesn't he use magic to blow it?
Yeah, Ahmed is, as we'll find out later, is stranded in the Grand Canyon.
Trying to get to them, chucked up.
Yes, but Abu, however, finds the genie in a bottle on the shore and awakens him.
After 2,000 years.
It's another famous scene.
Played by Rex Ingram, right?
And of course, the genie is great.
Lovely.
Everything they did for the genie was immense. Probably like green screen, like a huge foot.
He's got the same red diaper as Pedro from Dr. Cyclops. Yep. Same one.
Exactly.
Same exact one. That's in my headcanon. You can't prove it to me otherwise.
So Abu uses, I believe he wastes one of the wishes on a sizzling pan of sausages.
That was not a waste.
I'm hungry. Can't think with my stomach empty. I wish I had some of those sausages Mother used to make.
That was excellent. Everyone should have, like, sausages that feel like home.
Yeah, I was gonna be like all the pancakes in the world, but like sausages is weird.
Look, sometimes they just.
And then
slap,
the next one is to find where Ahmed is, but he's like, I believe he's like, we need this magical gem, the all-seeing eye, in order to do that.
Master, to know that, you must look into the all-seeing eye.
Then give me the eye.
Master, I can take you where it is, but not even I can steal it for you.
So then they start flying. He starts flying like Superman.
Incredible.
With Abu on top of him.
It's all green screened or blue screened or whatnot.
They go
and
into the temple of the goddess. They steal the eye like Percy Jackson. They don't encounter a Hydra, although they're a bunch of weird-looking people.
But that wasn't a wish, was it? Because he basically says, I don't believe that you can do these crazy things, and he's like,
yeah, he can't just allow you to see him. You need a special power-up to do that. What does he see in the eye, Leia?
Oh, he's able to see, wow, you guys skipped over the thing with the spider, I think.
Did we?
That's how he gets to the eye in the first place.
Yeah, he has to pass through a giant spider.
Right, in the eye, he encounters a giant, he sings to himself, I want to be a sailor, and the echoing is sort of creepy, but...
That was pretty cool, I like that.
It brings him confidence to be able to continue through this creepy passageway. He finds a ginormous web, Is the eye in the web? No, I don't.
No, the
I don't know
eye is in the forehead of the giant Buddha-looking goddess.
Yeah.
Well, right, but in order to escape, he had to pass through the web.
No, yeah.
There's an octopus. Yeah. There's an octopus down below and a giant spider above.
Yes.
He manages to escape by cutting himself free, and the spider falls into the octopus.
His second wish is to take. He sees Ahmed in the eye, and he says, take me to him.
Now my second wish, take me to him.
To hear is to obey, little master of the world.
To hear is to obey, little master of the world, and then he flies him off. Didn't use a wish, but he said, I don't believe you can take me, over there. And
He's like, I'm a genie, but I'm not a god.
Right.
Yeah. So he uses that wish. He reunites with Ahmad, who has been climbing around, just lost. How did he even get up there? Like, if he washed up on the beach, how did he end up on a mountain? He was just chilling on the mountains. He was like, I ended up on a beach. Let's just go mountain climbing, like a sane person. But, I can't blame him. I'd probably end up accidentally climbing a mountain.
And he wants to see the princess, right? So he looks into
he lets him look
into the stone.
And he's able to see her, but they can't get to her.
Jafar is making her smell the roses, so to speak.
Yeah. Jafar is, making her all forget. There's these magical roses that
blue
once you smell
roses
from
of
them,
forgetfulness.
You'll forget. It's funny they use roses and not forget-me-nots. They could have.
Yeah.
That would have been an interesting pun there.
Funnily enough, roses are also a symbolism used in The Thief of Bagdad. I remember that because it was beautifully animated. Anyway, sorry, Thief and the Cobbler.
Right.
Too many thief movies. We're talking about a thief movie now, and I'm talking about a thief movie later.
Doesn't he also say, you must be the Prince of Thieves? He says Abu is the Prince of Thieves. I was like, what about Robin Hood?
Wow. We really love our morally gray.
Yeah, we actually did a episode about that if you want to check that out. Or rather, it was an April Fool's joke. But still, watch it for the memes.
Yeah, but he also he wishes that since they have kind of a quarrel, since Ahmad gets upset at being able to see this princess but not able to help her, he gets upset and they quarrel, and Abu wishes for him to go off and go join the princess.
I wish I were dead. I wish I'd never seen you. I wish I were in Baghdad.
I wish you were.
But that ends
up...
up...
If I care, but...
That ends up using his last wish, and Abu is stranded, and he doesn't know what to do.
Right.
But Ahmad arrives in Baghdad just in time to break Jaffar's spell on the princess.
It's okay.
It's alright.
Everyone drink water, because we like being healthy on this podcast. Take a sip of water every time we mess up Jaffar's name. Do it. I challenge you.
You'll be super hydrated.
So hydrated.
So they both get put in jail. They're going to be executed at dawn. Now what they say is he's going to be executed with the death of 1,000 cuts.
Put them in prison. Chain them to opposite walls. In the morning they die the death of 1,000 cuts.
But I think they only want to do one cut, which is across the neck. It's funny that I thought.
How about the hundreds of cuts that make up this movie?
Yeah.
Not counting fades, transitions of other kinds.
Zoom ins. Yeah, exactly. Flashbacks. It's Abu's curse to watch all this happen in the all-seeing eye that he's got in his hand.
Yeah, and he gets fed up and he smashes it, and it's like, that was a priceless thing you just broke, but oh well.
Well, here's the thing. He is suddenly, and without explanation whatsoever, he's teleported to this mysterious land of legend. He basically they just turn the camera and spin it, and basically, with a bat, they do the...
What happens with him and the infinitely wise people?
Well, okay, well, they welcome him as a prince, Abubu.
Welcome, little prince.
Father of a beard. There's a mistake. I'm not a prince. I'm only a thief.
I think it's time to say goodbye to Prince Abubu.
And, Abu. And he releases the land from a curse of petrification, I guess by showing up.
So the Grand Canyon was actually the city of El Dorado, as it would be.
Wow.
Although it's more like the city of Tentorado, because there's
a lot of tents.
So the old king, he says people have forgotten how to imagine, how to dream.
We were petrified with horror for the evil done among men, and they ceased to be children and to believe in the beauty of the impossible.
And that's why they were petrified or something. And I'm like, that's kind of something about this movie, because they were like, we forgot what it was to give yourself over to a fairy tale.
So then, what is Abu's boon granted by the wise king?
Yes, it turns out that the gift he was given was a magic carpet. And again, if you're familiar with Aladdin, drink your water now. This is also part of the challenge. If you remember in Aladdin, the magic carpet played a huge part in the story.
A magic carpet? Come on out. We're not gonna hurt you.
And here in the Thief of Baghdad, instead of being in a cave of wonders, it is in this city of tents, of this kind of dreamy land, and Abu is able to fly. And if you remember back towards the beginning of the explanation, if you remember back to the beginning of this summary, one of the prophecies was that someone who was from the lowest of the low,
right?
He shall be the lowest of the low,
would be able to rise above the clouds.
and you shall look for him in the clouds.
And so he does, and he takes that magic carpet, and he doesn't need the help of the genie.
All he could do is fly him around and teleport him, buy him out, exactly. And this is really fulfilling his character arc. He is now becoming to his own as the Thief of Baghdad himself, the main character.
And
the true main character.
Yeah, really, he was the true main character. And he kind of had this arc of going from kind of a thief who's thought for himself to being someone who truly did care about these characters and wanted to help. So he came back for them, and he flew to Baghdad because despite wanting to be free and adventure, he really found himself to care for Ahmad, and he wanted to help him get his true happiness with falling in love for this princess. So he arrives in time to save Ahmad, who was previously being murdered, executed, you know, as you do. The death of 1,000 cuts, whatnot. It would be a whole lot less cuts if they used a guillotine. Where are the guillotines? This movie needed more.
Yeah, you said that in there. You were like, why could they do a guillotine? But the guillotine is all the way in France, and I'm assuming that this takes place way before, like, the 1200s.
Yeah.
I'm probably
that's
really,
that's
really
the
early
1700s.
in
Is
that. I was about to say 1700s.
If they can have a genie and they can have white people in this universe, in this country, they can have a guillotine, okay?
Automatic slaying. Doesn't everyone want that?
Yeah, like murder, you know? Don't take that out of context. Or do, that would be funny. But yes, he saves him from the execution, sadly. I'm just kidding. Happily.
Yeah, there's a part where I think Jafar, doesn't he say something to the princess? He says, "Why are you closing your eyes?
Don't you dare close your eyes."
There's little time left to see him. It's like, oh, that's so cold. And then of course you remember. I think somebody actually calls out the prophecy. We shall look for him in the clouds indeed, for if the great are powerless to save us from this tyrant, how can one of no account avail? And the reader of the Milky Way explained,
Have faith, trust in Allah. For there one day in the blue you shall see a boy, the lowest of the low, mounted upon a cloud. But the cloud shall be as strong as the hills beneath the snow, and from the ranges of the sky he shall destroy this tyrant with the arrow of justice.
Yeah.
This is as Abu is shooting the magic arrow of justice.
And turns out Jafar is like, oh, I'm terrified because he's
Peace
the
out.
actual tyrant. And he pieces out on his magical horse that he stole from, well, he gave, I guess.
well, yeah, he stole it back. Yeah.
He's taking it back.
He was nothing but a little thief.
Riding on the magical flying horse. But Abu is able to use a magic arrow, just like the prophecy, shoot him down, dunzo, get that creepo out of the sky. Only Abu can be in the sky.
Okay, it slightly reminds me. I see this as a meme clip. I don't remember what it was actually called, but it was a Christmas animated movie. That at the end, Santa is like going, ho ho ho, Merry Christmas, and he shoots upon them a magic golden ray which envelops them and makes them glow, and that's like the joy, or I don't remember what it is, but people usually cut it right as they get hit and put an explosion sound.
That's...
Oh look, Santa's leaving.
Peace be with you all.
To be like where he's like, ho ho ho, psh, and he's dead. So that sort of reminds me of that. He's sort of flying in the sky, and he just shoots these random children and kills them.
Yes, the true horrors of Santa. Anyways.
So Ahmed's going to take his rightful throne back again. He's probably going to get married with the princess. He is giving a speech to everybody about Abu, who is, I think, a little bit uncomfortable.
I owe everything to Abu. And when he grows into a man, he shall be my grand vizier. He shall be sent to the best school in Baghdad, and all the wise men of the East shall teach him all the wisdom of the world. He shall be the wisest of men. And in those future days, when he will be full of knowledge, science, and dignity, he will be the shining example for the youths of Baghdad, and they may remember how the little thief became the dignified...
In his
Yeah,
in his
he has
tight
to wear
clothing.
a shirt. It's like Drax having to wear a shirt. You know Drax from Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yes, he doesn't having to wear a rocket pack. Yeah, he doesn't want to wear that rocket pack.
Yeah.
Drax, why aren't you wearing one of Rocket's arrow rigs?
It hurts.
Hurts.
I have sensitive nipples.
My nipples hurt. Oh goodness me.
So they basically say he has to do school.
Yeah, and he's gonna learn and be an exemplary citizen.
The wisest men of the East shall teach him all the wisdom. He'll be wisest of men, full of knowledge.
And he'll go to school and stuff, and so Abu just runs.
Yeah, Abu was like, okay, I've got a magic carpet now. I'm going to see the world.
He's like, school's for nerds. Come on.
He says some fun.
Some fun! An adventure at last!
And an adventure at last. And that's the last the last words of this movie, and that's pretty much what this movie can be summed up as. It's some fun and it's an adventure at last.
Yes, and it's also very magical. It definitely wins its Oscar because even still, I have lost track of how much stuff that they use to facilitate the stuff
Blue
that they're
screen.
making. But I mean, man, people wouldn't normally use this. Yeah, you keep professing blue screen. We're gonna have to take a sip of water every time you say blue screen.
Well, no, it's true. It's true.
Another challenge.
But there's also blue screen, giant feet, miniatures,
Yes.
and the giant spiders. Various different effects are used in this movie to facilitate, making an adventure like this, and it definitely wins its Oscar for that. Definitely deserves winning an award for that. And as you're talking about, all the other movies of 1940, like contending for that, but then Thief of Baghdad, they just went handed to you.
What did we decide the Oscar went to? Remember, we were discussing which scene got the Oscar. Which one did we decide it went to?
I don't know.
Yeah, remember we thought maybe it was the horse scene, or then maybe it was the scene with the genie. Yeah, there was a lot of Oscar-worthy moments there.
I believe the genie had a lot of facilitating, as well as, flying on a horse definitely had that same usage of blue screen. It could have been green screen. What do you mean?
But they didn't know they needed green yet because blue was the color of choice. And this was the first one. I showed it to your mom, and she was like, "Oh, okay," because it looked kind of janky. I was like, "Yeah, but this is the first blue screen movie." She's like, "Oh, okay." So she was like,
"It's the color of your energy." Whoa.
It's like, so when somebody is trying their first time, you're like, "Oh, or they're doing something," and you're like, "Oh, that's okay. It's not great," and you're like, "Yeah, but it's their first time. Give them a break." And like, "Oh,
yeah,
oh, this movie
like
is so cute."
Kid making a little drawing, and you're like, "What's that?" And they're like, "A fire truck," and you're like, "Oh, yeah, that's cute. Keep making art."
But you realize how innovative it was for the time?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, this is 1940.
I feel like I like older movies more than newer movies sometimes. Especially new Disney. New Disney's not that great.
It's like for a 2-year-old to scribble some red and call it a fire truck. That's excellent, because they are on the path to making something great.
Excellent. All I see is what barely looks like a tomato, but that squiggle makes it just look like a concave object.
Just enough.
This did look a lot better than it could have been. I can definitely see the effort and work that they put into making this look good. And though it does look kind of janky at times, you can really see...
Props for them using color, because most people use black and white at the time, and black and white is clear and sharp, at least usually with the restorers doing fantastic jobs.
This is poppin'. Okay, but here's the thing. This movie I would definitely watch along with the one it's a remake of, which is Douglas Fairbanks as the thief. And it's the original Thief of Baghdad. Came out in the 1920s, I believe.
24.
But the thing about 24. These two movies, I think you could watch both of them and get something out of it. There's a lot of expression in both of them that I think are equally valid. I will tell you that the Sinbad movies in the future do use a lot of this as inspiration, but they use a lot more stop motion, from Ray Harryhausen, and we'll see those coming in the future. But I think one of my favorite fantasy movies that we're going to do, Jason and the Argonauts, not specifically because it has my name in it, but Jason! But honestly, a lot of science fiction or fantasy fans go, that is the movie. That's the touchstone. That's the one they saw that went, oh, dude, this is what movies should be.
And we will counter that in is that a season 3 or a season 4? I believe it's a season 4.
Yeah, we got a little bit to go, but
speaking of seasons, yeah, this is we're nearing the end of the episode. Join us next time for Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, 1941. I believe we're finally getting to 41.
Yep, with Spencer Tracy.
It's fun to see we haven't experienced a remake for the first time, so most of the plot will probably be very similar to the Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde 1931 that we did. It's going to be interesting. We're going to mostly be comparing about how it is and what's different, what's not. Honestly, it is not as great. I will say that off the bat. But you should probably go listen to the episode yourself when it comes out. So we probably won't leave you hanging too much. Make up your own mind.
Or we'll make it up for you. Ha 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 ha. I'm just kidding.
Thank you to Leia for being a guest with us on this episode. We loved having you. My favorite thing was watching the movie with you.
Yep, I'm fantastic. Thank you for having me.
You're cinematic and fantastic, and so are you, great listeners. You're cinematic and fantastic too. So,
what about me?
Oh, William, you're all right. No, I love you, William. You're great. You're absolute cinematic. And you're absolutely fantastic. Peace out.
See you later. Goodbye and good night and good morning. Auf Wiedersehen. See you there. Thanks for listening to Cinematic Fantastic Podcast. Click here and here for some more excellent content. Hope you'll enjoy it. See you soon.